a response video to a comment. Laura Layla left a comment on one of the videos, God one, whatever, one of the God ones. About I'll read it. It would be nice if we could establish what we all meant by the concept of God. There is no definitive one. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that all gods would have in common is the idea of some sort of intelligent creator. I mean, if you're just going to call a DNA molecule God, well, that's kind of silly. Or if you're just going to use God for, to describe any kind of creator. I mean, a complete imbecile, and say, okay, yeah, an imbecile created the universe. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So if you're going to say it's just forces, and they had no intent, they had no capacity to reason, they didn't create life, or they didn't create humanity, or they didn't deliberately make any of that happen, that they just threw a universe in motion for the hell of it and didn't care what was eating what and what suffered what and what did what. Well, there's no point in calling that God. I mean, I think the word pretty much covers anything, whether it's an alien or all these unborn intelligences, these unoriginal intelligences, wherever they came from, these non-naturally occurring intelligences that deliberately and willfully created this universe. I guess that would qualify as a god. And so the other question would be in analyzing, does it really make a difference? Does it make a difference whether you go with this archaic, traditional notion of God, this whatever Christian thing, this God who's like a human being, made humans in his image, the Zeus kind of thing or something, God with a personality, gods that make mistakes, gods that are having battles with devils and all that kind of stuff. Whether you're comparing that, compare that, some fairy tale kind of God, story kind of God, to some, like, new age modern God that's like the crystal, or the sparkly, the phantasmagorical force of good, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the point is it's an intelligence, and it's an intelligence that did this on purpose this way. Created a world where you throw a bunch of living things into this pool and have all this carnage, and then after 4 billion years you have this little scurvy cockroach creep up out of the slime and say, I am man, and think he is something because he has a little bit extra capacity to think, and he can talk and speak languages and communicate, and so he can build things and make aeroplanes and spaceships and stuff, but he really can't solve the problem of his own desire and his own natural psychology, which still compels him to do silly little bug-like things. Like I said, what's the difference between those two gods? It really doesn't make a difference. They both have no merit in science. There's nothing in the observable universe that cries out and says, something intelligent created this system. I mean, it's chaos all over the place. I mean, galaxies crashing into each other. I mean, there's suns blowing up. I mean, it's a mess. It's just, there's nothing in here that has any, there's no like shields, there's no like bubbly shields around the consciousnesses, there's no protective coatings over them that protect them from harm, something that an intelligence would do. An intelligence would consider consciousness a rather precious thing. It would say, I don't want to hurt that thing, I want to protect that thing. It'd be like its toy, and it wouldn't want its toy to get blown up the first day. On Christmas Day, it doesn't want its toy to just explode. I know, it takes care of it and wants it to last, okay? It's, an intelligent God anyway. I mean, the little moron bratty God, well, maybe, yeah, he was going to squirt some lighter fluid on it and set it on fire and watch it scream in horror, Yeah, that little fucktard would do that, but a God wouldn't do this. A God would not create this mess. So grow up, people. There's no intelligence behind this insanity. I mean, if you're going to tell me that if you had the power of a God, that you would take on the responsibility of initiating a universe, and that universe could do anything, turn into anything, any kind of elephant man Poeskian horror can take place, and that you would willfully take that responsibility. I mean, I just don't think there's that many people that have enough confidence that this all makes sense to do that. You know, to say they want to take responsibility for imposing that on a bunch of victims, a bunch of little creatures that are going to roam around and try to eke out an existence. I guess it sort of also relates to, you know, Pyro has made another video on free will. It's just such crap. Look, we are conditioned little machines. That's all we are. We're little bots, you know, built by nature, little whatever, human bots. And we have this whole fucked up psychology. We're so caught up in this soap opera, this game playing, this, you know, maneuvering in our maze, our psychological maze of addiction, want, desire, fear, revulsion, conditioning. I mean, you know, how much of the world do we hate merely because of some subjective reaction, because that part of the world is the wrong color, or it's the wrong shape, or it looks just kind of creepy. You know, or its style is wrong. It's got a little thing in its nose. You know, it's got the wrong color makeup on. The hair is too fucked up. It's too long. It's too crookedy. It's too bent one side to the other side. It's too many colors. It's always something. And that's all we live for, is this bullshit, this subjective, you know, tasty cake versus ho-hos or something. I mean, it's just Coke versus Pepsi. Bullshit. I mean, we're just psychological nonsense. And let's just admit what we are. We're just these bumbling, stumbling creatures, and we have no business glorifying our creator, because we're not a glorious creation. We are fucktards. You know, we're just a little bit better than the sillier little beasties that are even more ignorant and stupid there than us, you know, that are truly chasing their tail, truly eating their own soul, you know, because they have no other choice, because that's what they have to do to fulfill their biological mission. You know, the DNA has told them, I must survive, I must eat, I must consume. That's why I have big teethy for chewings, and so I go chew something up. You know, and then I'll poop it out, and then I'll go screw something so I can create some more of me. You know, so we can keep playing the game forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, spiraling into infinity. For what purpose? None. You know, absolutely none. Just because one cell accidentally fell upon the circumstantial capacity to reproduce itself. It didn't even want to do it. It just did it. It just said, whoops, there, I reproduced myself. And then its reproduction said, I'll reproduce myself. And then its reproduction said, I'll reproduce myself. And the first reproduction couldn't take it back and say, whoa, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to cause this whole thing. I didn't mean to push this chain into motion. You know, it's just a fucked-hearted circumstance of the mechanics of the fucking universe. Let's accept our plight, and let's try to make the best of it. But let's quit pretending we're on a glorious mission from God, because it's not a glorious mission. And that's about it. And just as a side note, I was just looking at this dopey painting, and I'm saying, you know, man, you know, Adam had a very small pee-pee. I mean, what the fuck is that? That must have been like the Pope's censorship back then. Well, you can make him nude, but you have to make his parts very, very small. I mean, it's just a little bit silly looking, ain't it? I think a little bit silly. I mean, it seems pretty preposterously silly almost. So, anyway, just whatever. I mean, just, you know, just as a side note. That's all, just a side note. That'll be all, I think. So, till the next time. Don't have a glorious day, because really, it's not glorious. It's just what it is. It's just, you know, it just is. And it isn't great. It's, you know, barely mediocre. Really, barely mediocre at best.